11 2025. My name is Lasso's Passions. Something really unexpected happened on the channel, and you know, I've been focusing all my energies and basically everything on the YouTube channel. And in a lot of ways, everything's changed. My habits have changed. Everything. It's changed. It's changed how I do my mornings. And it's probably a temporary change because I really want to get those 1,000 subs. So I'm pushing as hard as I can to get that. Using my own creativity. I got poison ivy. That's why I'm itchy. I got some pretty bad poison ivy, and I'm trying to not scratch. And I'm just putting creams and stuff on it. It's no fun. It's actually a good time for me to not be around people because of the poison ivy, to be honest. Poison ivy is just, it can be contagious if you're not careful. If you like accidentally rub some of that. Poison ivy is so weird. Once the oil gets in your skin, it like starts replicating itself. It's really weird until it's all washed out and stuff. So, but if you wash it really bad and scrub it, it'll get worse. So my thing is I just spray the crap out of it, spray the crap out of it from morning till night. But it's an irritant. It's an irritant, and I would say that on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst, I would say I'm at 1 probably. I don't think it'll get any worse than 1. I had a huge bounce back. Now, I don't know how high of a bounce back on YouTube because my viewership is going down. And I was feeling a little bit bummed out because I've been working so hard. And they say, it's bound to happen. So I didn't let it affect me. I just kept to the schedule. I kept going. And lo and behold, ruining the surprise a bit. Because I know tomorrow when the analytics pop up, and they're ready to be displayed, it's going to show a huge jump. It's about 12,000, over 12,000 views. So pretty crazy to go from, it was like it happened last time too. I had like a weird fake amp off. It dropped for a minute, and then it was like, then it just took off. I wonder if the people at YouTube or YouTube has a system where they do that on purpose to see who drops off and who continues. Because for those that quit, when you quit at that point, you lose your momentum. And I had a whole discussion about that. I had a whole podcast discussion on momentum. But it's so important. It's like momentum is the thing, the snowball you don't want to have stop going, right? You want the snowball to keep going and have that snowball effect. You want that with your momentum. You want it to go, go, go. So I made sure that even though the views were down and stuff, I still went out of my way to keep pushing videos, keep pushing content. I went live, and I'm going live again. I don't know, to see if this has impact, and it looks like it does. So, and it does matter what you post. The content matters, and the consistency of when you post. So there's that. So a lot of the videos that I'm getting thousands of views are my Seinfeld recaps. Now, the thing with Seinfeld is that Seinfeld's famous. He's well known, so I have that going for that, but still, there's a level of repetition that goes into this. And I think the only reason why the views are so high is because YouTube is recognizing that I'm posting this content around the same time every night. And it recognizes this, and I think it's starting to push it more. So I see my content being pushed more, getting out there. And you could say push, or you could say that I've stirred up enough momentum, almost like a valve. And there's like water pressure. it's not that, you could say that YouTube's pushing it. In a lot of ways it is. It's allowing you access to be in front of people. But I wouldn't call it pushing it. It feels more like they're just allowing access. There's all this water being built up, all this pressure of like content, and some of it's good and some of it's not, and like they probably go through, and there's probably one person that goes through. There's probably like, I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they do it, to be honest, but somebody's checking on it. Either an algorithm, a computer, something is checking on it to see if it like checks certain things, and it's like, is the retention rate high? Is the the viewership high? The engagement, all that's the engaged viewership. It's measuring all that, and it's actually a spectacular thing because you know it's the difference between Facebook and Instagram and all these other social media platforms. And I don't know. I don't think you can consider YouTube a social media platform. I mean, I guess you can, but it's more of sharing, right? A video sharing platform that's in a lot of ways becoming a social media platform, because now you can comment, leave comments and stuff, and do that kind of thing. But what I love about it is the graphs and the analytics. You can really look into that. I don't know if Facebook has that. I don't know if Instagram has that, but like YouTube is pretty awesome in that you have these tools. In a lot of ways, it feels like you're part of a TV network station or something, and you're getting like feedback from the station saying, "Hey, here's your report. Your views are down," or something. It's like, oh wow, I better do something before I get canceled. That's what it feels like to be on YouTube. It feels like you're on a TV show, your own network, and you're an artist creating content. And it's like, if you don't produce the right type of content, for the right type of niche, the right type of audience, it's like you're in nowhere's land. So I'm actually still in the process. I'm still in the process of like discovering my niches. And there's quite a bit of niches I'm discovering through my passions, actually. I'm not trying to force my way into a niche and be like, oh, this is the niche I choose. No, I'm exploring my passions. I'm having a great time doing that, by the way. I'm not worried about getting monetized, although I have my goals. I'm worried about, the most important thing I'm worried about is that I learn properly, and that I'm learning in a way that I'm actually growing on YouTube. And the stuff that I'm learning is like I'm utilizing and actually implementing is actually working. The other thing is the retention rate. That's become like absolutely important to me. And there's no better tool than YouTube as a real testament to audience retention. It's an amazing tool to have as an entertainer, as a filmmaker, as a storyteller. It's an amazing tool. I never even thought possible for me in a situation like this that I would have a tool like this, and it's quite amazing. Like I keep repeating myself, but it's that amazing to me. So I'm nerding out. I'm nerding out completely with the analytics. I'm checking daily, nightly, early in the morning. Like I just check it very so often, and I check old videos to see how they're doing, and there's like all this information coming in, kind of on the back end. And by studying it and analyzing it and saying, well, this is where I lost my audience, I can go back to my video and go, okay, this is where I need to change my intro. I need to do this. Maybe if I do include this aspect into the video, or if I create tension in the video, if I create a plot twist. There's so many things, and these are all tools that you learn as a writer, as an actor, filmmaker. So it's the perfect platform to really be experimenting as a filmmaker. So it's not uncommon for filmmakers to be on YouTube and creating films, and a lot of filmmakers even have their own channels where all they do is create their films, and that's what they do, right? But something interesting that came to my realization, studying, watching YouTube and being attentive to what's going on. Somebody had mentioned something really interesting, and I totally agree with this assessment, that there is a new revolution in cinema, which is the framing. The framing of cinema has once again changed. It's changed from this to this. A lot of people, a lot of people were always like, make cinema like this, but it's the format's changing. Cinema in the future is going to be long form. It's not going to be. It's going to be maybe you're going to have variations, but cinema is changing. The TV is going to be the one that influences the most. So you have TikTok and YouTube Shorts and Facebook that's influencing the formatting and the framing, and people are getting used to it and how they receive and view content. And so there's a huge market in the future that I'm keeping tabs on. I'm like really interested in because it seems to be like my thing, creating these shorts. So in the future, I agree. I totally see potential for series being made on these YouTube shorts, like complete series from A to Z. Every short's an episode, a clip, or something. So there's, and the fact that I was able to do something similar on AI like that on the shorts, and producing the voices myself and the sound effects and remixing music off YouTube, totally legal, by the way, totally copyright free. You can do that. So it's interesting how I've looked into this. I've developed some techniques and some storytelling techniques that are particular to shorts, right? The formatting of shorts and that kind of audience, totally different audience, totally different expectation, right? So what I find interesting is that in, I think, Japan or somewhere, there's a platform, a TV platform. You heard me correctly, a TV platform that has a dramatic series that's long form. That is crazy to me. But you see how things are always fluctuating and changing? I find that very interesting. Now, what does that mean? It might mean that TVs in the future are going to be adjustable. Mark my words, this is a prediction. TVs in the future are going to be adjustable where you can take it like this and move it like this for those shorts, for those series that are going to be popping up, and TV series that are going to be popping up, long form shorts, movies, whole movies with stars are going to be popping up in long form. I'm telling you, it's the new revolution of cinema. You don't believe me? Fine, but I'm telling you, I'm probably the first one to be really saying this, and it doesn't surprise me because I've always been somebody who's, I'm Mr. Film Guy. I'm Oklahoma and India tour. I'm always ahead of the game. Now, I mean, I have the resources, the money, and stuff to make the movies, but I know what's up. I see things coming. I see it. I see it coming. I'm very aware. So I feel like I'm hitting it just right. Like if I all I got to do is just never quit, and I'm done. I just won the game. I won the game. I'm producing series ideas, long form. I'm producing, different ideas to bring audiences in, different techniques. There's different techniques that you can use shorts to bring audiences into your videos and to create these like infinite loops where basically if you have like a project idea that you're marketing, you create an infinite loop by basically relating each video back to one another. And so you can have an audience going back in loops, watching all your shorts. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of interesting. And I'm pretty sure I don't know if I am, but I might be the only one who's producing these recap videos of 90s sitcom. Now, I think TBS and stuff have like their clips and stuff of Seinfeld and whatnot. But like, I'm telling you, I think I'm the only one like making these like recaps. That's probably why I'm getting so many views, Don't steal my idea. But if you do, God bless you, whatever. But I like being creative. I like being original. I like coming up with ideas and implementing them. If sometimes they fail, sometimes they're successes. When they're successes, I just head first go in and just go in head first with those ideas, and they pay off. It's been a really great payoff as far as viewership. I'm still trying to figure out how to increase subscribers along with those viewerships. I think a lot of it's just tweaking habits, tweaking my editing style, adding components to the editing as I go. like something new I started doing that I need to implement almost all my videos is like at the end of every video, like put subscribe, like all that stuff, right? In a very cool way or something. I don't know, but so yeah, learning a lot. I've learned a lot. I learned a lot since June. Really, really exploded. Like learning curve and all that, just flying. And it's all about implementing the new ideas now that I want to implement and being consistent. And like I was saying about momentum, there's the power of consistency that fuels that momentum, and it's just like an echo, just like gets stronger and stronger. Well, like a reverse of an echo, but what I'm saying is it echoes, and it like builds and builds and builds, and you have this energy behind you. You have this, like, I don't know what you call it, but it's motion, right? Things are in motion, and the more in motion you go, the more speed you, like, metaphorically, like, as far as my viewership and producing content and stuff, like that stuff has speed. Like there's some speed to that. It's just like zooming in. I know the fact that I can. The thing about shorts is that they say that they don't want AI being mass producing shorts and like just putting out videos like these stale, unauthentic, just no other way to put it, just really shitty mass produce videos. Now, I'm not trying to my plan was never to mass produce videos, but there is a game to YouTube. The whole game to YouTube is consistency, building on your momentum, and just posting like every freaking day. Now, there's value, depending on how much value you bring to your content, that matters. The how much value you have compacted in your content, will increase viewership. That's just a no-brainer. So, that's one thing I'm learning, and one thing I need to incorporate more is increasing the value. There's a lot to learn still. There's still a lot to learn, and that's one thing about me is when it comes to topics that I'm really passionate about, I'm a lifelong learner. I don't ever stop learning about the things I'm really passionate about. And even so, I'll go out of my way to learn some new things that I'm not quite passionate about. Just some things that are like within the field, or something I need to investigate to help me out with the story, or something. It leads me out to something completely outside my realm. And it's like it's a beautiful thing. You're like, oh, there's like so much stuff here I didn't know. And it's like, now I know. And it's like, wow, I could see how that being incorporated. But I will say it's been a lonely journey, because I wake up early in the morning, start hustling, creating videos, ideas, thinking about ideas and what to do. I think about like my day. I think about what exactly I'm going to post and what time, like what content and when, right? So I'm thinking about that early in the morning, and sometimes I kind of battle myself, because in a lot of ways, what I like to do, a new strategy of mine, is to post like first thing, as soon as the next day starts, like the first minute, I post my video, because that way analytics starts counting that as the new thing, right? For the new day. So I start posting as early as possible. I mean, like the first minute of the new day, and I'll go to sleep. My hope is that when I go to sleep, is that when I wake up, the video I posted has like tons of views. And so that's my new strategy, is finding the right content to post when I go to bed and sleep for like 5 hours. Because yeah, I sleep for like 5 hours, not much. And then like what I'll do is I'll wake up, check on things, produce content, post content, go back to sleep. And then like I'll go back to sleep for like an hour, wake up, post more content, And then I get to a point where I feel refreshed, like I'm ready to go. I start my day, boom, 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 start my day. I got my producer's cap on, I got my writer's cap on, my actor's cap on, like just anything you can think of, right? Just brainstorming cap on, all that stuff. But it's a every day. It's like that. It's a marathon, and it's nice. It's nice for a creative to be challenged every day, to have a challenge. There's a new day every day. Oh, new day, time to produce new content, be creative, It's got to be a little bit different, something fresh that your audience haven't seen you produce, you know. So I'm always like tweaking, creating with new things. It's always never the same, you know. So it's like a being on YouTube is like being on a river, you know, and it's a river that's flowing out into the abyss of terrain. And while we're riding this river, YouTube is like flowing through terrain and just pushing on through. And so it's interesting how the closer you get to the edge of YouTube, what I mean by the edge of YouTube, which is a term I don't know if anyone's talking about, what I mean by that is you catch up to what's trending, right? What's hot, what's like in the now, in the present, everybody's talking about. That is being at the forefront, at the edge of YouTube, in my opinion. Otherwise, you're just kind of in the river floating along. Other viewers kind of bump into you, but those are the viewers that trickle down from the trending stuff, material. And so there's like all these floaters that, you know, float out and just, you know, they discover new things. And YouTube algorithms, if your stuff is good, you get kind of pushed to the front of the river. It's the best analogy I can think of to explain it. So like the more interesting content and stuff, it's almost like people start noticing. In a lot of ways, it's not so much YouTube pushing you. It's like people pull you forward. They're pulling you forward to like. What happens is your retention stays in longer, right? So what they say is if you stay between over 70 and 100, you're golden. You're gonna skyrocket. You're gonna have your video is gonna have an engine. It's gonna run. It's gonna fly. It's gonna have a rocket, you know. And that is the secret sauce. And in order to obtain that retention, you need to understand your audience, your specific audience, you know. And that's why niches come into play. It's like genres, right? Like when you look at movies and books, everything is divided into genres, subgenres. Well, those are audiences. Those are niches of audiences. You have your audiences who like drama and science fiction. Sometimes they switch because they want to switch genres, right? But that's how you break down on. So YouTube is very similar. You have different audiences, and they have it divided. Their genres are divided more so into categories. I've discovered recently. So when you go to your content and your details, you scroll all the way to the bottom. It says like more tools or more advanced something. You click on that, and it says, you know, to help improve how we place your video in what niche. You click on the category that's fitting to your video. So if it's an educational video, you click the category educational. If it's music, you click music, entertainment, so on and so on. And so that, just by doing that simple thing, you're already shifting, you're communicating to YouTube. And that's the other thing, is communicating to YouTube. Hey, I'm telling you guys, this video will do much better in this category, you know. And sometimes like I'll have videos in categories by accident, and they somehow magically do well by accident, you know, and then I just don't touch it. I just leave that setting. But it's interesting. It's the little tweaks here and there, That's been my whole 2 months. These last 2 months of literally posting every single day. These last 2 months, every single day. There's not been a single day I haven't gone through. I didn't post or make a short or whatever. And you really get a sense of things. It's really interesting. You get a whole grasp of it. And I'm barely in it. And there's an excitement to it because I'm understanding how being in it really communicates to you what you need to adjust to present better things to your audience so that they do better and hold a better retention rate. And, you know, your video skyrockets. And next thing you know, you have bigger views, you know, more subscribers. And if you find the right formula, the right combination of things, like I'm doing, I'm finding the right combination of scheduling certain videos, certain content. It's like running your own TV network, your own cable network. That's what it feels like. In the morning, I feel like I need to focus more on different material. in the afternoon, in the later afternoon, in the evening. The evening, I feel like I've got it down. I do my recap things. They seem to do pretty good. In the morning, I'm still kind of figuring out. I have this I call it long form series that I'm trying to produce, an animated series like that's purposely made for long form, right? So I'm working on that, and experimenting. It's okay. I'm okay with just being in a phase of experimenting. I'm not in a phase where I'm like, okay, this is the niche. This is the how we're going to produce it. This is how we're going to make a assembling line of producing this content that's going to be have the same kind of thumbnail, this and that and this and that. So I know that that's part of it, but I'm not there yet, and I'm just, I just look at myself and I go, I'm just going to be honest. I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for that. And that's okay. That's okay. If you asked me to produce 2 months ago a bunch of like 30 clips of animated videos to help produce a series, I would be like, are you fucking insane? It's a lot of fucking work. But when you get in it, you get your hands in the mold, you're in it. It's like the more you do it, the easier it gets. So the easier it gets, there's like less stress behind it, and it seems like as an artist, the easier it gets, you want to push yourself even further. So that's why I push myself to try to create an actual like scenes out of this AI animation stuff, like create actual scenes and characters and locations, develop the whole idea. And in a lot of ways, I feel like I was successful, and like I said, there's no better tool for a creator today than YouTube to like post something, wait a week, check back on it, check the analytics, check the audience retention, and be like, oh, so here the audience really dug this. They don't dig this at all. So so it's a slow change, because not only do I have consistency issues of like there's the dilemma and the deadline every day that you have to meet, which is posting. So you have that going for you. You have the hours in between posts and videos to come up with ideas and content, and then you need to find time to explore how to grow and learn, and then find time to implement new ideas for so not easy. It's not easy, and so it's good to just take your time. I mean, the way I look at it is I gave myself a year to hit 1,000 subs. I'm not in a hurry. I'm not like, oh, somebody comment, oh, you're just trying to do instant gratification. Like, no, not true. Nothing about what I'm doing is instant gratification. I'm literally spending a year experimenting. But a year experiment, there's no instant gratification there. I tell you, that is the honest truth. If I have to spend another year experimenting, take 2 years, so be it. But the whole point is not to rush into it and then get discouraged that it didn't work because of all the ideas, and you thought of every single thing and try to, you can try that approach, but I find it a lot more authentic. I find it a lot more like easing into it, like walking in, like a pool of cold water. You got two choices. You can jump right in and suffer really quickly that temperature change, or you can put your feet in the water, stand in the water for a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, let your body slowly adjust to temperature. And next thing you know, that cold water doesn't feel that cold anymore. And then you just kind of ease into it. So like, that's my thing. Well, I don't know about you, but when I go to a pool, I stand in it for a minute with my legs in the water so I allow my body to just adjust the temperature. Then I slowly just, move down. Or if I'm in the mood, I'll just jump in and do a cannonball. It's whatever, it's not, life is a flow. Life isn't, this is the way and it's going to be this way forever. No, it's not like that. It's a flow. And that's how YouTube is. It's a constant flow. It's like everything. even cable TV, movies, television shows, they die off eventually because there's a change in the change in, you got new generations coming in. There's new tastes, new likes, new and different humors. Every generation, every niche, every little genre has their thing, and a great artist, not just a great artist, but a great marketer, a great, somebody who understands mass marketing is going to know how to do these things. It's not the artist's job necessarily to know these things, but if you are a self motivated independent artist like I am, I'm an independent artist. I everything I do is just me. I don't, you know, I got lucky a few years back. I got a few sponsors, but other than that, like I pour in my own money, which they say is not the best business strategy to pour in your own money, but sometimes you have to. You have to do that if you're serious about your own career, because let's face it, there's going to be times where people abandon you completely, and not because it doesn't have to be nefarious reasons, but it could just be because the trend has fizzled out. It could be that the business isn't as great as it was. Maybe it was a great win-win. There was a great win-win situation, but it's not great anymore, so things change. So basketball teams drop players if they're not doing well. Things change. If you're not performing, things change. It's the same thing with YouTube. It's just like, and that's something I know. Another great analogy that I want to use, that I use a lot in my discussions, is basketball, because I love growing up in the '90s. I was a kid, but still, I remember like in '97, being all gaga about the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan. And recently I just watched that Netflix doc, on little short doc on Michael Jordan, the Chicago Bulls, and all that, and it's inspiring. It's very inspiring. His dedication, in a lot of ways, you kind of have to be the Michael Jordan of whatever you're doing, and that's how I approach this YouTube thing. Is like, well, I'm going to approach it as Michael Jordan approaches basketball. I'm not saying I'm going to be the best player out there. I'm not saying I'm going to be the best YouTuber on the planet, but I'm going to give it my best. I'm going to go out there every single day, get on the court, train, push myself, learn as quickly as I can, fail as quickly as I can, and just keep focused on the game. Like, that's it. There's nothing else that has my attention right now. Everything has just kind of like faded in the background. And for the first time, I feel like I found something that I can. First of all, I'm very passionate about. So they say when you're very passionate about something, it's easy to find yourself lost in putting in hours and endless hours of work, and just endless hours of work, because you just love what you're doing, and so you don't want to stop necessarily. That's my problem. Is that I find myself so like intertwined with YouTube nowadays, and I mean, I wouldn't call it an addiction because I could stop whenever I want, but in a lot of ways it feels like an addiction because there is a dopamine hit when like something big happens, when I reach a new record in viewership, a new record in subscribers and watch time hours, and I see that steady growth. It's very exciting. Now I had a test. I had a test today that tested my attitude today, because yesterday, you expect things to happen. You work, you plan, you implement your plan, you put in the energy, the hours, and you expect a certain outcome, or you're hoping for it at least, and it doesn't work out. You're like what the heck happened? So all those what the heck happens, always, there's a lot of those moments you're gonna find, posting on YouTube and looking at audience information. You'd be like, what the heck happened? Why did I lose my audience? Why did they turn this away so quickly? And you'd be surprised. I mean, it can range from the type of content, the subject matter, the way it's delivered, the presentation. There's so many little things that go into play. But keeping it simple will minimize you going crazy being a perfectionist, because that's the thing that'll be a problem. You can't be a perfectionist. You can't spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, like months, on one video and then do that again and expect that to do well. Like you're asking for trouble, because it seems to be very time sensitive. Like I said, YouTube's like a river, and it's like a strong flowing river, and if you don't step in the river and go and flow with it, then you're going to be left behind. You're on the shore hanging out. I'm not saying you, but for an example, like people who are not posting and putting videos, they're just hanging out on the shore side. And I'm saying for creators who aren't posting, I'm not saying audiences, I'm saying creators who aren't posting, they're just hanging out on the shore side watching everybody post and watching everybody go ahead of them, because that's what's happening. And so you're in a lot of ways, you're in a marathon, you're in a race, and every day is a deadline. Every day is an opportunity to gain audiences, turn audiences away. I mean, it's that impactful, you know. So and the thing with subscribers is, once you have them, right? That's great. There's very few that unsubscribe. I've had some unsubscribe, but those are few, and it's a little disheartening when you're pushing your content and working and figuring out what people like, and you're trying to bring joy to people. That's the main thing. You're trying to bring joy to people, and so you spend time. You get comments that are like, people are like, obviously upset. They're like, oh, I didn't like this, or this is too long, or this, and it's fun. They can be snarky too. So the thing is not to be engaging them in a way that's negative. One thing you could say as well, thank you for your output. I'll look into, bettering the content. That's the right attitude to have on YouTube. Um, but the attitude adjustments, the content adjustments, the increased adjustments to retention and all that, it comes in when you do the tweaks, and you can only do those tweaks when you fail, and you're in a position where you're constantly thinking about what went wrong. What can I do to improve? That's the name of the game. Unfortunately, there's no other game in town. That's if you're serious about YouTube, that's what you're jumping into. That's the game you're playing. In a lot of ways, YouTube's like a game. In a lot of ways, you do all the right things in this game, and you're allowed more access, and you advance in the game, and you advance to different levels, and so I think YouTube did it right. Out of all the platforms, they did it in a way that's just really serving like our modern world. It really has. It's really impressive what they've come up with, configured, and over time, and you can only do that with people posting, with millions of people posting. So over time, millions of people posting, the way content is delivered, the way people receive their content is completely revolutionizing everything, and so all the filmmakers and independent people that are not jumping on the bandwagon right now are going to be left behind. They're going to be scratching their heads like, where was I 2 years ago? Why wasn't I creating shorts and posting content and building an audience? What the heck was I doing? I think a lot of people focus too much on the wrong things in the film industry, and it can get you in a position where you spin your wheels, work, and you don't get anywhere. It's very frustrating. You can spend years doing that, and I'm sure you could do the same thing on YouTube. But YouTube's different. YouTube, it's like you're your own boss in a lot of ways, and so in the film industry, you start out underneath so many people, and on YouTube, the only people you're underneath are the content creators who started out doing what everybody does. You start out, you go through failures, you adapt, you find your thing, you express your authenticity, and bingo, you commit for years. You tell yourself this is the kind of thing where I'll commit for years. And that's it. It sounds easy, right? It sounds much easier, but I don't know. I find myself in a place in life where it's just the perfect time for me to do this. And so, in my opinion, it's not just the perfect time, but it's like the time for everyone, all the creators out there who are out there. If you're not, like I said, if you're not jumping on the bandwagon, you're going to be missing out as an artist for sure. Um, and I say that even now, like 2013, I missed out. I missed out on a whole decade of being on YouTube. I could have been doing this a decade ago. But each on their own pace. Everybody learns their own pace. At the time, I was still thinking, I want to be a filmmaker in my ways to go in through Hollywood. And I spent a good 5 years doing independent movies and a good 3 years on huge productions, huge Killers of the Flower Moon, directed by Martin Scorsese. I got to work on that. Reagan, I got to work on that. Stillwater, starring Matt Damon. Sylvester Stallone, Tulsa King. I got to work on all these big productions, and in a lot of ways, yeah, you learn from life. Everything you do in life, you learn here and there and that. But at the end of the day, I was never really granted access to move forward for whatever reason. I was stuck as a PA for 5 years. I was training as an actor. I've been an actor my whole life, stage and all that stuff. And so it's just to be stuck for 5 years as a PA and auditioning without ever landing a role, and people being snooty, ugh, ugh, like it's just I got tired of it, and so I eventually spoke up about it, just how sucky it's been, and I got pretty much excommunicated from the community. So in a lot of ways, I got pushed out and I got pushed onto YouTube. So here I am. And it's got me thinking in a lot of different ways. It's got my creative juices flowing in ways that I've never been in. I've never been in this flow of creativity and just producing things. And so it's nice. It can be a little bit overwhelming sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, like I got a short to do. Oh my God. It can be a little bit. But the thing is, like, I made it my main focus. So it's almost like as natural as breathing now to be on YouTube and to be producing and putting out content. I've done it for so long. 2 months is all it takes, more than enough to establish these habits of writing, producing, putting it out there, studying the audience. And I've been doing that for a while now, and it's the best thing that could ever happen to me as a creator, as a filmmaker, as a writer. I am just learning at a speed that is just incredible. In the last 2 months, I've learned so much from YouTube and being able to have that connection, because that's the biggest problem being a local filmmaker is sometimes you don't get into the festival, it's too expensive to screen, or they're making it really hard for you to screen your movie. You don't have access, and access for any creator is the way. If you don't have access, then what the hell? You can't do anything. So I've been in this like I can't do anything mode for years and years and years, and like devoting my time to something, thinking that it would bloom into something because it's being with the right people. But these people were all wrong. They never cared for me. They never saw my potential. They never saw me as somebody to develop over the years, to have as an asset for the future. Like just nothing like that. So now that I'm on YouTube, and I'm in the last 28 months, I have over, probably, I want to say tomorrow, I'm going to check the update, but I want to say over 130,000 views. That's a lot. Over 130,000 views in 28 28 days. That's quite a bit. I'm averaging out around 5 to 7K views a day, which is pretty amazing. Now, as far as YouTube success, that's not amazing. That's not like, oh my god, like make headline news, everyone's going to talk about you. No, but it is amazing that I, just started like really hitting it hard these last 2 months, and like I've been able to turn things around with the viewership and subscribers. I mean, I have friends that are still stuck at the same number of subscribers 2 months ago, and I've already uh, multiplied my subscribers. I've already increased it by so many, and at this rate, if I keep it up, there's a good chance that I will reach my goal of 1,000 subs in maybe October. It's my guess. That's my guess from looking at my analytics and stuff, which is awesome. Because that was the whole point. The whole point of this year, the biggest goal I gave myself was to actually work on YouTube, hit those 1,000 subs, and that was like the only real goal I gave myself for this year was to do that. If I can do that, I feel like, well, then I can add more to my plate and say, well, how about the next goal be, increase subs to, whatever amount, or increase my retention rate, increase the quality of content, increase my technology, my tools, because that's another thing. I'm literally just a guy with a phone. I don't have a special mic, a special way to do special graphics and this and that and this special program that's going to do clips for me. Nothing. I do everything by myself using this phone and whatever YouTube supplies through this phone, the app, which is the YouTube app, and that's it. I use Canva, and that is it. That is it. That's all you need. You don't just to show you. You don't need a special mic. You don't need the special gizmos and the special high quality production. What you need is to understand your audience. That's what you need, and that's the hardest part of it all. People are so quick to spend money, thousands of dollars in production equipment before they could even prove to themselves that they can retain an audience. So I don't want to spend all this money and not do anything with it. Like, that's the worst thing that could happen. I see it all the time with filmmakers who spend all this money on their film, and they're like the most unexperienced filmmakers when it comes to like retention rate, and keeping audience attention, keeping them hooked. Like, they just don't understand it. It's a hard thing. If you can't do it on YouTube, how the heck are you expected to do it on a film? You know what I mean? So that, to me, in a lot of ways, being successful on YouTube is in a lot of ways proving that if I can do it here, first, then I can do it, in Hollywood or something. Honestly, that's what it is. It might sound stupid, or it may sound like a genius thing, but if I can't do it with just a cell phone and just me, then forget it. Everything else is just extra that's just kind of fake, right? You want to be your most pure, authentic self, and I am. And that's been my approach, and I've been doing it right. And my thing is, it's not because I learned it, it's because that's just who I am. I approach every person and every individual as authentically as I can, and it turns out that's actually the way to do it on YouTube. The way to do it on YouTube is to be authentic, to create original content, to be creative, to express your voice, and not necessarily copy anybody else. Not let AI do all the work. They expect you to do some of the work. So yeah, there's a lot of expectations from YouTube, and there's a lot of kind of a thing where you play ball with them, they'll play ball with you. You produce content that is worthwhile, they're going to look at it as, okay, we got a creator on our platform that we can push out because it's going to bring us views. Fantastic. That's their mentality. Our mentality usually is, ooh, I want to get those views. But it's not the right mentality. Although I express, oh, it's exciting, but it boils down to what you're doing right, how you approach your content. Otherwise, it's just you're just shooting in the dark. If your goal is just to get views, you're approaching YouTube incorrectly, completely incorrectly. It's not the way to approach it. To approach YouTube correctly is not to chase after views, but to bring value to people. That's the true golden ticket to YouTube. Anyways, I feel like I've been repeating myself a little bit, but these are important things. These are important things, and it's just been good. It's been good. I'm not worried about I'm not worried about I'm currently financially bent, so I'm not worried about that. I'm not losing my mind on the fact that I'm not like having money come out of my pockets and stuff. If that happens, it happens. Like I said, my most important goal right now is adapting and learning and applying what I can while I maintain consistency and working my butt off every day. And while doing that, make the requirement adjustments as I go. So that's all. That's all it is making the required adjustments as I go. And that's why I'm not worried. I'm not worried because I've already seen the proof in the pudding. So all I have to do is keep doing what I'm doing, and just in a lot of ways, just focus in, keep doing what I'm doing, and not get carried away in the emotions of the game, right? Like, oh, I don't have enough views today. I'm so disappointed. Or wow, I got 150,000 views on one video, right? Yes, it's exciting, but don't let that get you off center. Don't let that unbalance everything, because I think at the end of the day too, one of the most important things about being successful is also being balanced as an individual. You're not too stressed out, anxiety, worried, deathly worried. You're not depressed. You're in a perfect place to be creative and building and just the right energy for growth, and that's part of it. You can't, if you don't have that attitude, that energy to bring to the table, don't expect to do well on YouTube. But don't expect to do well in anything in life, to be honest. Like, you're just going to be very average or below average if you don't, anyways. The other aspect that's been pretty hard is that I take care of my folks, my parents here and there, and it's I'm getting a little personal. I'm not going to get too personal, but it's hard. It can be hard managing folks that are elder and that require your help a lot, and I'm happy to do it, and so in a heartbeat, I just drop everything and go help them. So I've mentioned this in a discussion where there's what I call the default life. We all have the default life, and the default life can sometimes be pretty tough. And a lot of people aren't aware of what's going on in your default life, right? There's just so many things that people go through, so many responsibilities, there's so many pressures, there's so many things, right? So that all plays into whether or not you can make it in this thing, because like I've said in other discussions, you can burn out, you can get derailed, your attitude can go from positive to negative really quickly without you even noticing, and you find yourself in a bad mood and you're like, what happened? So there's a lot of ways to litigate all that. If you ever go to my podcast section, you can see my discussions. And it's kind of like this. It's a conversational thing. But anyways, yeah, I think I feel sometimes I just got to talk and kind of just let things out. But I'm excited because I'm pretty sure I hit a new record tonight with views. And again, that just reflects the content that I'm creating. So it's good. It's good. I'm discovering what's working, what's not working, and to me, the key is to never give up on the notion that I have to keep adapting and keep learning from what works and what doesn't. Like every day, there's just something you can learn. Make the tiniest adjustments every day, every week, month to month, and you will find yourself like in a place where you thought would be impossible starting out. Because when you think starting out, you know, what's the analogy about eating an elephant? That when you think about eating an elephant, you're like, oh my God, this is impossible. But the way to do it is, one bite at a time, And so YouTube is the same thing. You take a bite at a time. Um, it's a giant elephant that you got to eat. So, I mean, the good news is that we're in the perfect age for this. I mean, there's the audiences are so vast, around the world. Even there's opportunities to gain audiences around the world that a lot of YouTubers aren't utilizing. That's one thing about finding a niche. When you find a niche, you get stuck, and then you kind of, in a lot of ways, you kind of lose out internationally. That's why I like YouTubers who aren't nichey. They do things, and then they move on to something else, and then they move on to something else. They're always like moving on to something else. They're not like doing one thing and doing one formula and hoping that's going to work year in, year out. That's not how it works. It's a constant tweaking. You're tweaking the show. You're tweaking the content every single day. And the hope is that you make enough tweaks over time, and you learn enough over time, you fail enough over time, that you're at a place where it's just really easy for you to do things that other people view as being really hard, but that's in the time, and you go through the growing pains of it all, and you're going to find yourself in a place where you've adapted to this kind of lifestyle, after months of doing it. And the key is to not let up. Not once do you ever let up. I mean, sure, you may get sick, maybe there's traffic, you get behind in posting, but either way, still, you're still doing it. You get back from the traffic jam, you post. You got back from the hospital, you post. You had a long lunch with a business partner, you get done with that meeting that went way over time, you post. You go post. It's like that. It's just like that. And at first it was kind of weird, kind of hard, and it felt like a big interruption in my life. And now that I'm getting used to it, I find myself having to work even faster throughout the day. So what I mean by that is, as far as my default life and being responsible for the stuff in my life, I have to do that in between posting videos, and I have to be fast about it. Whereas before I was really relaxed. Now it's like I don't have time. I gotta go take care of it, knock it out, come back to YouTube and post something else. Go back to default life, take care of business, default life. There's no effing around. Go back to YouTube, take care of business. That's how it is. Before I wasn't like that. Before I was really chill in life, and I'd take things as it is, and I'd sometimes let things sit, and some things would take some time to get done because I had the time. But now, that I don't, it's really hard to adjust at first because I had zero time to do anything. And as soon as I realized, oh shoot, I have to be Johnny on the spot. I have to move like I'm in Vietnam or something. That's a little extreme, but it's like that. It's like, okay, we're done posting. No time to F around. I have literally 40 minutes to get this done, this done, and this done, and then back to posting. It's kind of nutty. It felt very nutty at first. It felt difficult, but like I said, as I go, I'm telling you, I'm probably, when I get to through my third month, I'm going to be in a much better place. And then after my fourth and fifth month, my guess is probably in an even better place, because 28 days to 30 days of intense focus on YouTube and learning is how you move quickly through this, and you can't, people move, let me rephrase that. People want results quickly. right? And YouTube is the kind of thing where that's a very difficult thing. You can listen to all the master gurus, and you could potentially, make it big, but either way, you're still in the trenches. You cannot skip that part of being on YouTube. Is being in the trenches, actually creating, posting, and looking at feedback. That part you cannot miss out on that. There's no. It's like saying, it's like it's your college. You being a creator on YouTube and posting and figuring out what works, what doesn't work. That's like your college, essentially, your YouTube college. And so, you know, I'm okay in being in this YouTube college phase of my life until I can figure it out, and I'm okay with that. It could take another 2 years. It could take 4 months. It could take my whole life of just like adapting. I could be hitting a million views and whatnot, but it's going to take that consistency next month of doing the same thing. Like I'm going to have to keep posting and posting and posting to keep that momentum going, to keep the the gears working on place. So, and then you have your competitors. Your competitors are copycats. All the YouTube is such a huge ocean of copycats. I mean, as soon as you have an idea and it's like seems to be doing well, there's going to be somebody who's going to jump on it and try to do better than you. That's the other aspect about YouTube that kind of sucks. But in all fairness, I mean, competition is just a part of the human experience. I mean, and what arena is there? What game? Show me a game where there isn't competition. You know what I mean? Like it's all about getting better at the end. You're competing because you want to see where you're at with you as a person, whether you're an athlete, a wrestler, a soccer player, a runner, a Olympian, whatever it is. You're pushing yourself to your best version, and you're competing against somebody else to test out your best version. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole thing about competition. That when you look at it that way, it can really fuel you to do better. To spend more time and to really assess and to how to improve, to assess your situation, to how to improve your situation. So competition isn't really bad. It's not. Yes, there's losers, but you know you have to fail and in order to win. But you fail in a way where you don't take it as such a loss where you now you're demoralized. No, you take it as, well, my best wasn't quite the best of them all. So if I want to be the best of them all, then I have to do this and this and this and push myself a little more. So there's that aspect to owning up to whatever it is you're going to do. How much time and focus are you going to put into it? When what's motivating you? Michael Jordan wanted to be the best basketball player ever. He wanted to be the best ever. That was his goal. And so he did that by putting more hours in training, putting more hours in learning, putting more hours in practice, training, practice, whatever. Putting more hours in observing other players, which he did. He would study other players and how they played the game. And so all of that you can do with YouTube, and you can do with anything. Whatever it is you want to pursue in life, you pursue with that intensity, that that drive of I want to be the best at this in this field. It'll take you far, and you never know. You might come third, you might come second, but either way, it's going to make you successful. Being third or second is still pretty successful. And then if you actually make it to third or second, you might be the kind of person that'll be like, well, I said I wanted to be the best. So you're going to go back to the drawing board and be like, well, coming in second and third isn't good enough. What can we do? What strategy can we implement quickly, efficiently, and in a way that's quality and bring value, in both directions as far as audience and you as creator. Like, what do I have to do? You know, so that's where I'm at with things. And it's not a bad place as a creator. It's not. Okay, folks, I think I'm gonna call it a night. I don't know about you. I'm pretty exhausted. I guess I've been posting all day. I do this whole thing where posting marathons since like 5 a.m. till like all the way till like 11 p.m. You know, it's pretty crazy. Like one post, one video, one short video within the like on the hour essentially is the goal. Um, but I may slow that down because not all videos are truly worth putting out there. You know, but that's hard to know. It's hard to really assess. So at the end of the day, whether I question it, whether I question the content, whether it's going to be worth it or not, it's hard to really know. I mean, sure, you could say, well, this setup is bad, this timing is bad, this audio is bad. Let's trash that. Yeah, sure, but it's still hard. You know, when you have solid ideas and you're assessing, and you're like, well, is this going to be good enough? I don't know. If it's at that point, I just go with it. I go ahead and create it anyways and post it, even though it may not bring a high amount of quality value that YouTube is looking for, right? And audiences are looking for. But anyways, yeah, my name is Lasso. If you like hanging out with me, chit-chatting, if you like my shorts and stuff and all that, I'm building my channel. It helps me out, like they say. The like, the share, subscribes, all the good stuff. Anyways, I bid you a good night, everyone. And hope you sleep well tonight. Get plenty of rest. And I'll be seeing y'all laters. Laters, alligators. I'm telling you, I'll be seeing you around. As soon as I figure out how to X out of this. Oh, here it is. X out. See y'all later. Have a good night. Sweet dreams. All that good stuff.